Dun,
Hey,
dun, 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 dun. Oh, sorry.
welcome to No Prize Podcast. I am the professor. This is Lucas, and it's
Yes,
the end of
sir.
fall. It's the end of fall, but it's not the end of
You
comics.
lie. You
I mean, it's
lie.
the end of summer. It's the beginning of
Oh,
fall, and it's the beginning of football season. So,
yes.
we're happy. We're happy that kids are back to school. We're happy that you know, seems like everything's going smoothly. So, what is going on, Lucas? How are you for the last couple of weeks?
I'm doing good, man. But you know how it is. As we're doing the show, we're prepping and sending our prayers and everything to the families and persons and whatever
Yeah,
affected by the 20-year events of 9/11, right? This is not
yeah,
just one thing that would happen on one day. This is 20 years of
yeah.
stuff have acted by some idiots who just wanted to do whatever they want to do. But we wanted to just send our prayers and hopes and know that we love y'all and peace and love, and we will always be thinking of your family members and the sacrifice that they had to give.
For sure, for sure. I mean, the country's landscape has changed over the 20 years. I don't think that anybody forgets where they were when 9/11 happened. I mean, I could tell you from myself, my son was 4 months old and sitting in the swing, in a little swing, trying to get some sleep next to me when I woke up and I turned the TV on. And happened to turn on Good Morning America, which I watched on my day off on those times, and it was my day off from work, and just happened to turn it on right when the second plane hit, and at that point, my brother, who was in the military, called me, and was just like, we're at war. I was actually on the phone with my brother when the plane hit, and we were both just silence on the other end of the phone for like 30 seconds. It's a unbelievable moment in history that we hope is never repeated. Um, and when we think about we talk about Marvel all the time, and Marvel's based in New York City for the most part. And now I don't know how far back you go in your collecting days, but I remember how much of a problem that Marvel had. Do we portray what do we portray in our city, right? Because it is the world outside your window. And do we say that this happened in our New York? Because honestly, wouldn't all of our superheroes save us from this? you know
Yeah, yeah,
and they did decide to go the route where the superheroes aren't always prepared for everything, and this was a tragedy that happened, and there was nothing anybody, even the superheroes, could do about it. And they did a couple of specials where the heroes were the first responders, and that really the heroes were only helping in the recovery efforts, and there was nothing that anyone could do. In fact, in the books this week, there's a like a 6-page short written by Joe Quesada and drawn by John Romita Jr., who did the original Spider-Man issue, the Black Spider-Man issue, if you remember that from 20 years ago.
hmm hmm
So that was when I did not expect that was going to be in the books this week, and when it was, I thought it was fitting, and even all the books this week have the 20-year remembrance stamp on them. So
yeah.
um, that was pretty powerful. I wasn't expecting that. So kudos to Marvel for doing that. Um, but hey, I didn't expect that we were going to start with this, but this is good. We can talk
Yeah.
about that.
Um, so that's that, and that you mentioned that it changed the national landscape, but it not only changed
It
that,
did.
it changed the global landscape of and how people actually are able to interact with other countries, and one of those
Yeah,
countries is China, right? China's
sure.
presence has grown even greater since then. So I would actually like to go into Shang-Chi. Have you watched Shang-Chi yet?
I did. I went and saw it last week. Actually, I had to wait till the end of the weekend, but I did go and see it on Sunday. Um, I thought it was really, really good. I wasn't like I think we've been talking about this. Like I don't know how.
Forever.
Yeah,
Forever.
and I don't know what our expectation level was coming into Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, given that it was the first brand new Marvel movie, Marvel property, Marvel characters since the pandemic. With the pandemic still kind of going on with the Delta variant and how much turnout we were going to have in the theaters, um, Disney is kind of trying to learn from their mistakes here, and we get an exclusive in theater release for the first 40 days or something like that before it
45.
dumps on Disney Plus, and so the only place to see this right now is in the theater. Um, and like I would I want to hear what your initial thoughts of the movie are before I kind of jump in. But
Okay.
so did you see it? Did you see it opening night or
No, I did not see it opening night. I saw it on Saturday, right?
okay?
So, first of all, I'm not trying to go back to the theaters. I'm not rushing to go back to any theater, right?
Right.
So, but I had to, right? So I was going to talk me, the wife, and the two kids, right? And I made sure there was early enough in the morning that there weren't going to be enough people around. Went to Alamo where you can reserve the seats, and I was
Hmm.
like, okay, there's nobody in this, and I made sure that we're not in the middle because people like to gravitate towards the middle. So I put it off to the side, hoping that nobody would buy the other seats. Well, guess what? People bought all the seats. There was and it incensed me because there was 50 other seats, like empty seats, like rows. There's like rows for it.
Really?
Yeah, like that were just empty. So and if we weren't going to eat, I would have been like, okay, whatever. But we wanted to eat, right? This is the element. That's the big part. That's the big benefit
Hmm.
of eating at the element is you get to eat, right? So I was like, hey, so I went to the cashier. I was like, hey, do you mind if we exchange them? And we exchanged them, and we went forward. And I was worried. I was like, well, the wife was going to enjoy it. It didn't matter. We sat forward, one level playing field, and we watched it, and it was fun, right? Um, here, here, here's what I'll get into, right? As far as the actual movie, right? Uh, this is one that I've been waiting for a long while, right? Um,
Yeah.
the only thing is trying to explain it to, the wife and kids is sticky, right?
Hmm.
Because they don't know who this is. He just came out of nowhere to them, right? My wife didn't even know that Shang-Chi was a part of the Marvel Universe till a week ago, right? A week before we went to see it. She
Right.
was like, "Why didn't you tell me?" I was like, "There's only been advertisements all over there." But that's whatever, right? So the things. So here's what I'll bitch and complain about. The dialogues, right? The dialogue was very sticky, right? I didn't like the dialogue at all. It was just like very awkward, right?
Yeah.
Um, the action scenes, like I, I'm looking for Marvel to start updating action scenes because there's that kung kung pow, that old. Look, we are in the era of WWE and of of fighting, like actual people getting into like rings and throwing hands. Let's get into that. There are actual martial artists out there making their money. Why don't you bring these guys in and instead of having guys still flipping around and doing all this crazy stuff, flipping off of buses and all this other crazy stuff. So people are like, yeah, the action scenes are the best part. I'm like, yeah, but if you've ever been in a real fight in your life, brother, you are pissed.
Right. Right.
Um, because there were certain times when he was throwing punches and stuff, and it was like, and the dudes are flying around, flying up against, like, wait, he doesn't even have superpowers yet. Why is he punching a dude and he's getting punched up against the wall and all that? No, that's not how that's supposed to work. Um, the look, once again, I'm an '80s kid. I'm a Jim Henson baby, right? I'm from the era of Never Ending Story.
Hmm.
and Dark Crystal, right, and Fragile Rock, right, and E.T., right, where the animals and the like look really real, right? They're not that digital mess that's going around, right? So there are times when there's actual creatures in there that I would have loved to have seen puppets, so you can like see the hair on their back, and but I saw the wings on certain things looked fake. The animals just look fake. It just looked it just once again, and that's because I'm an '80s baby. I was used to things looking how they look, and we've got all this technology. We've got all this technology, and instead of blending the technology into the story and making it really seem more real, they're using technology as a heavy point to make everything do what it does, and I'm not impressed, right? Um, here's what I did like. I did like I like some of the characters that they use. I like Aquafina. She's my girl, but you got to dial her back, right? She was cussing all over the place when she didn't need to cuss, and just cussing in awkward places, right? Um, I do like I did like some of the Easter eggs. The Easter eggs are pretty cool. Did you catch the fact that with everybody talking about how to pronounce Shang-Chi,
Hmm.
there was 10 different pronunciations of Shang-Chi?
They did, and I think we talked about this on the last
Yeah,
podcast.
there was 10
Uh,
different pronunciations of Shang-Chi. In
yeah.
fact, his own mother, pronounced it, and the one that I haven't heard before, but it makes more sense, right? Where there's more of a pronunciation or more of a accent on that shit, the shit, hey Shang shit. So that I thought that was pretty cool, right? Um, his um his Mandarin Cantonese was not very Eh, he talked more like a dude that was raised out of San Francisco, which he is, and that's fine. Um, the other thing I did like is I did like some of the background of the when we got to Tao Lao, like the fountains over there. That was absolutely freaking beautiful. But once we got into the Ash Village, it was like eh. I was a little tore up about okay, you've got these dragon plates, dragon that you're making shields out of. It's 2021. Um, Nobody thought to make this stuff into the bullets. Like, okay, there's a whole bunch of monsters and demons back there. Why didn't you take the time to send somebody out to figure out how to make bullets and guns out of this stuff? Like, okay, how about making your houses and everything out of that, and then shooting arrows from out there? You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy. I don't know. But it's one of those they wanted to do it. Here's what I do know. They they had a set mind, right? There's the hidden dragon, crouching tiger, right? They
Yep.
had that in mind for U.S. Audiences, right? They knew that at one time worked, and they wanted to do an MCU superhero movie, but they didn't want to depart from that because it's like, okay, if we're doing an Asian character, we got to do this just to make it have that feel, and we can't depart from it too much. And that's fine, right? And that's fine, but it suffered a lot. You suffered a lot in introducing any new characters, right? This
Yep.
was the time when you should have been doing new Agents of Atlas, right? All the new characters. Instead, we got Captain Marvel, the one character that nobody likes. Nobody cares about Captain Marvel. Yeah, you put her in here. You got Wong. Wong is fine, but I didn't need to see him that as much towards the end. You got Banner, okay, whatever. What's going on for the new stuff? How come they didn't introduce any of the new stuff? But that's just
Yeah.
me. A lot of old man bitches and grabs for me. What did you
Yeah.
think?
So I mean, I think you're right. So as far as like the stingers at the end or the after credits trailers, yeah, I think that was probably a good place for them to introduce maybe a new character um, or something like that. But I do understand their need to tie this into the rest of the Marvel universe proper. Because we need to make this feel like it was an actual MCU movie.
But
Um,
that was supposed to be Jimmy Woo. right?
Right,
She never
right, and he
moved.
didn't. Yeah, he never showed up. But so I kind of want to kind of compare and contrast uh, this movie to the actual Shang-Chi comic, The Master of Kung Fu from the 70s, where they pretty much just scrapped everything except for Shang-Chi himself, right?
Mhm,
That there's nothing that resembles the actual comic book Master of Kung Fu.
mhm,
Um, there's like the of course Razor Fist, the one of the major bad guys, Death Dealer. Those guys appeared in the original series, but in the original series, Shang-Chi actually was grew up in England, not America, and was a member of the British Secret Service, and was allied with all the Secret Service over there, the MI6, and was doing missions for them. And there was a ton of characters that they could have used in this movie, like Blackjack Tar, uh, and a couple of, I can't remember the name, Nayland, I think, was the leader of the group, but. But Shang-Chi was actually kind of like like a James Bond type character that would get into the kung fu fights, and that was really that was the selling point. Was back in the 70s, where kung fu movies were the rage. uh, Master of Kung Fu was the Marvel's answer to that, and he was generally he was a blatant ripoff of Bruce Lee. With
mhm.
and his in the comic, his father was Fu Manchu, who was not even a Marvel character, but he was licensed from the creator, and followed highly racial stereotypes. As far as that goes. If you look back in the 70s now, these books would have never been published, as far as the racial slurs that they use
Sure. Yeah,
almost
yeah,
every issue,
yeah.
and the Fu Manchu was always colored yellow, like actual like palette yellow. Um, they got Shang-Chi's
Jesus.
skin color right, but Fu Manchu was always yellow. There was a Yellow Claw showed up, and he was always yellow. So it was the racial stereotypes were throughout the book. So I do see the need for them to have changed them. But here in the Shang-Chi and Legend of Ten Rings, we have almost a marriage between a few different ideas from Marvel, where now Shang-Chi's father is the Mandarin, right? Who is That's not in the MCU. Mandarin is not Shang-Chi's dad. Um, the Ten Rings were actually these wrist bracelets, 5 on each wrist instead of 1 on each finger,
Right,
and having a different. Each one had a different power, right? But these seem to be more like weapons, more like just boom boom power blasts, right?
right.
As
Yeah,
opposed to the different powers in the ring. Just to kind of give you an idea, it was like there was a fire ring, an ice ring, a disintegration array.
yeah.
It's
Well,
like
yeah.
all kinds
Well,
of weird
you
stuff.
know where they got that from, right? So there's
Yeah.
a movie for all my Wu-Tang fans out there. There's a movie called The 36 Chambers of Shaolin,
Hmm.
and one of the characters out there has 10 rings on his forearms, and he uses those to fight.
Hmm.
He uses those to defend himself. Sometimes he can throw them off, do all this crazy stuff. So that's where they got that from.
Well, and I'm not gonna criticize it too much because I thought it looked cool, for him to use them as weapons, and they would come he could shoot them off. I thought that was pretty cool. Um, but that the base of where these rings came from, they did kind of make a significant change from the comic to the MCU. And then I really thought that the fantasy island there, where the hidden race of Asian people, I thought it was very much like Kunlun from Iron Fist,
Right.
which we've already seen in the Netflix series. And to me, that seemed like so they kind of making Shang-Chi almost kind of like Iron Fist, where they had that hidden society where, and even it only opened up once a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another
I,
another another missed opportunity to
I
explain
was
that away. Right.
I was like, why didn't they could have actually had. I was actually, when they said that, I was like, is this really Kunlun, and are we going to see Iron Fist? And I was, and they even said the like the heart. They were talking about the dragon and the heart of the dragon, and I was like, wait a second. I was like, what's going on here? So now it's, I like it because on the face of it, uh, I can see what, because I remember when they first announced that Shang-Chi was, they were going to make a movie. I was like, how are they going to make a Shang-Chi movie that's going to be interesting enough to have Marvel fans buy into it, you know? and and this is it, because you had to steal kind of like an origin story from Iron Fist. Plus they had to have the bring in the dad villain from Mandarin. We had to kind of, they had to kind of rewrite and edit and you know
Yeah,
and kind of pull stuff and ideas. um but it kind of worked. I think that you're right about the Aquafina character. I think Katie was super turned up, um, and but she was the blatant definition of a sidekick. She was just she was just there for a comic relief, and
yep, just
you
there
see
for the
her
laughs.
you see her grow as a character, I guess, a little bit. But she did really kind of, she was really the annoying Michael Pena Ant-Man character,
Hmm.
if you remember, like, and he was amusing, but didn't really affect the story too much. So that, to me, I liked her, but I think they overused her. And then I did like the relationship between Shang-Chi and his sister. I thought that ended up being the heart of the movie. Um, I like what's going forward. I'd like to see him in the Marvel universe more. Like, and then I'm sure he'll be in the next Avengers movie. I'm sure we'll get a sequel to Shang-Chi before the next Avengers movie. So
Yep, they're
by
already
the
talking
time,
about it. Hmm.
yeah. Um, Now, the other thing that, and I know we're spending a long time talking about Shang-Chi, but that there's kind of a lot to unpack, is I want to say, maybe the cultural appropriation of this being just a film for Asian characters, much like Black Panther was kind of like, we own, the African community was like, we own this movie. This was for us. Um, this is,
Right.
I think, Shang-Chi was very much geared towards the Asian crowd. There was almost 100% uh, Asian actors in this movie. Um, so uh, and from what I understand, a huge turnout on the Asian side. But um, I hear there's a mess with the release dates in China. Is
Yes,
that
sir.
is that what's going on there?
Yes, sir. So once again, and this goes back into our discussions about Black Widow, right? Black Widow
Yeah,
absolutely has been demanding, the theater-wide release, and but I keep saying, who hired her lawyers and agents? Who hired these people? How did they not know that during the summertime, China doesn't freaking let any movies from Hollywood or outside of China really have any type of summertime release,
hmm.
right? They should have known that, and that would have figured into the numbers. If she would have came at it from that angle, then we got something else to talk about. But she's like, well, all these other movies make a lot of money. Well, no, that's not even true. Um, and once again, I've always wondered why there aren't a lot of releases during the summertime. Well, they sometimes do. They do it right before the summertime or right after the summertime. That's because of the China summer release schedule. At this time, Black Widow still, we are 2 weeks into it. Black Widow still has not gotten a permit to be released in China.
Interesting.
Shang-Chi, Shang-Chi still has not gotten a permit to be released in China. Right? And that's huge, right? That because that goes into the numbers, right?
Yeah.
So people were like, well, as soon as they get that permit, they'll make more money. No, China doesn't play like that. China people don't play like that. They're like, okay, everybody else is talking about it on the internet. Let me go ahead and pirate this real quick. Let me, let me. They're like Disney Plus, Disney Plus. Oh, okay, right. Let me get on this Disney Woo, Disney Woo minus. and watch it real quick. like,
Wow.
like, like, the hubris, and
Yeah.
so in the meantime, Disney says, "Yep, we've got the numbers. We figured it out." Now that China has been really slow with releasing our stuff, you know what we're going to do? We're going to exclusively announce that all the rest of the movies for Disney is going to release inside the theater exclusively. Right?
Hmm.
No more waiting for no, and it's only going to be 45 days, right? And you know what? If we had if we had not been going to talk about it on this show, I could have waited 45 days to watch Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
It was not. It just wasn't that important to me, right? And now that there's a whole bunch of opportunities missed, I'm like, I really could have waited 45 days for this, really. So now we got Last Duel, which is one of those Disney things that's not superhero related, wrong going wrong, but the one that, of course, that we care about is the
Yeah.
Eternals, which is so a month from now, November 5th. That's
Yeah.
going to get released. West Side Story. That's when I'm all over. I gotta watch that West Side Story. No, and the Kingsman on December 22nd. So there's going to be some interesting things going on with that.
Yeah.
Um, the let's see, and then What If? What about What
Yeah.
If? What did you think about the What If stuff?
I thought the fourth episode, so that was last week's episode, the Doctor Strange episode, was the strongest one so far.
Mm.
Um, I thought it just the emotions that it raised up. Um, it was it just made me feel so much sympathy towards both Doctor Stranges, right? So imagine you have the original Doctor Strange and then the branch off that was created with the death of the other doctor there. I thought that the just the rollout of the episode and how just demented Doctor Strange became, and then to throw in the unhappy ending, I guess, or the tragic ending at the conclusion of the episode, just made it really feel like this was really something that they did, you know. And I thought that was great. This week's episode, the zombie episode. I'm not a big fan of Marvel zombies. I never really was, but I thought what they did uh, it was interesting. I'm enjoying the show a lot more for the animation side of thing more than the writing. The animation is just unequaled. I think it's fantastic. I think the voiceover acting is really, really great, especially with the majority of the original cast coming back to do their voices. Um, they've already announced a season two. I can't wait to see what's upcoming. I know we have one more episode to get through next week, which I imagine it. I mean, they haven't done a Thor episode yet, and I kind of thought that they said Chris Hemsworth came back to do Thor,
Mm.
but we haven't seen him yet. So I imagine next week's a Thor episode. But I just think that this is really a show that's kind of going to be opening up the possibilities of what we can do in the movies, with and already rumors abound that the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness movie is actually going to have the alternate Doctor Strange that first appeared in the What If, and that he's actually going to be in the next movie. So
Nice.
yeah, the rumor has it was they built a set that is for the evil Doctor Strange. So that's an interesting segue, right? Because I think that people were watching this wondering if there was going to be anything coming out of this cartoon or animated universe that was going to affect the storylines going forward. So I think it's great stuff. You know,
Yeah.
I think going forward is going to be I guess the sky's the limit, right? So that they could even they could test stuff on What If that they wouldn't be able to
Right.
test normally. So
Oh, yeah. So have you seen? So I want you to go back because I don't think you watched the Mandarin one shot.
I did watch it.
Yeah,
I
that was
did. I
great.
thought
That was great.
so. I didn't even know. That it had dropped. and I hadn't heard about it. And then someone told me there's a Mandarin short starring Ben Kingsley that's kind of like a primer for the Shang-Chi movie, and you should watch it before you go. And I was like, what? There was absolutely zero hype on this, and how did I miss it? And so I turned it on immediately, and I thought it was I thought it was fantastic. And it's only like 13 minutes long,
Yeah.
but it's Ben Kingsley was amazing in it as Trevor Slattery, and it really was almost like a little teeny tiny sequel to Iron Man 3, but also a like a precursor, like right at the end when Trevor is kidnapped, so to speak. Um, and I thought it was funny. I thought Ben Kingsley was just having a blast playing Trevor again,
Right. Right.
and
Yeah.
he probably never thought he would ever come back to play Trevor, you know. But I thought it was just something that I think they must have thrown together last minute to think that it was going to be just like a this fun little thing we're going to do, and to bring back. Was it Sam Rockwell that they brought back as
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Justin Hammer?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I thought it was great, and it was obvious that the actors were just having fun, and it was I can't imagine how many takes or how many blooper reels that they ended up getting through that. But
Yeah.
it's very interesting. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's
Sure.
great.
Yep. Well, we're at the halfway mark. Ready to take a break?
Yeah, let's take one. We haven't watched this one in a while.
Do you want to find out what makes the professor do his happy dance? Check out the Old Timers Comic Book Show, only on the UCPN.
That was a bit of selfless
We gotta, we
self
gotta get,
promotion.
we gotta get you to do that again, but out of the chair. I don't like the out in the chair dancing. It's like you're at a
That's
wedding. Nah,
that's
out
all
of
I
the
do.
chair, out of the chair. Get the whole body going. You know what I mean?
That's all I do is chair dancing. But yeah, catch old timers. That's a podcast that we talk about old comics. They got to be over 25 years old, so it's a really kind of fun. Just kind of talking old school. So let's jump into some comics.
Yes, sir. So I will talk about. Give me a second to talk about this real quick. Uh, D23. Disney has started talking about D23. The last time we had D23 was about a couple years ago, and that one was really big for these comic speculating community because two books came out, right? They were both Marvel issues of Marvel Comics 1000. One was a color version, the other one was a black and white. The black and white goes for $10,000 right now, right?
Wow.
And that's because it had a lot of the characters that were going to be going big for the future of Marvel going forward, and because it had the first appearance of Mickey Mouse inside a Marvel book, right? Or at least on the cover of a Marvel book. So now I'm letting everybody know right now, hey, there's another one happening 2022, November 2022, right? That's when the next one is. So of course they've got phase four happening, they got all that. Of course, they're gotta have another big comic book that's gonna be there, right? So I'm saying, hey, be there or be square. Don't be complaining that you can't be. I had somebody last night tell me, oh, I'll just pick it up on eBay. No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You don't want to have to try and pick it off of eBay, and then it's a $3,000, $4,000 book. That's how much the colored want,
Mm.
right? Raw, right? Um, I think people are going to be a lot smarter about buying it or selling everything this time. So when are they selling tickets for this? Well, they're going to be selling tickets for it in January of 2022. It's happening at the Anaheim Convention Center. So once again, get your ducks together, get ready to freaking buy this thing. I'm going to see if I can get some tickets to this thing. If I can, this is going to be freaking awesome. Um, um, just sit around in the Disney atmosphere, take it all in and all that other stuff. Now, here's the thing: in order to get the black and white tickets, you might have to be a part of their special premium program, which is like a gold membership, which is like $100 a year. Uh, which is not bad. You get invited to all these types of events. You're probably going to get invited to a little off off the main thing type of event where that's where you'll get your comic book. So once again, keep an eye out for this type of stuff, especially for the D23 stuff. And the reason why that book was so big is because it talked about a lot of the stuff going forward, such as the Mass Raider, right? It talked about I forget the other big characters, um, but this is that is something you should definitely pay attention to. The Defenders, right? I love this book. I love what was going on with this book. You've got this new defender group, Silver Surfer, Doc Strange, Harpy of all
Hmm.
people.
Yeah.
I forget the name of the Cloud Girl and everything. They're all getting together and
Cloud.
Cloud, yeah, they're all getting together to fight against this existential threat, possibly at the end of the current cosmos and the restarting of a new one. So they go off to another dimension or another cosmos or
So
whatever.
they went to the previous reality before this one.
Yeah.
So now if you read in Al Ewing's universe, so well actually this is already well known, but Galactus was the last member or the last surviving person from the previous universe before the Big Bang, right? So the
Mhm.
Big Bang supposedly created the Marvel universe, but the what did the Big Bang come out of was the end of the previous universe, and Galactus was the only surviving person from the previous universe. Now this is where the Defenders have gone back to the previous universe, and they've learned that there were six other ones before that. So there have been now this is huge, right? There have been six other previous universes that all have ended similarly.
Right.
So that is the one of the big revelations, along with a bunch of other Al Ewing isms in this. So but please continue. I just wanted to clarify that for the people.
No, I mean absolutely. You're hitting it on the spot. So they go to the previous reality or the previous cosmos, and they go so far back that they actually find Galen, who is the human form of Galactus, right? So Silver Surfer, he has that moment there where he's trying to figure out, should I kill this freaking baby? That's where we're at now. We're at baby killing comics, and Mass Raider pulls up behind him. Like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm just doing this fireworks show. Yeah, okay, pal. Yeah, okay. Um, uh, but that was the big reveal, which is pretty interesting. And then they go off do all the types of other crazy stuff. But that one was the big thing to me. And I think this was also the first appearance of that other villain, the Omnimax. I think that was in here as well.
Yep. So
Uh,
Omnimax is the iteration of Galactus from the previous universe. So now Gallon, who they introduce, well, I mean, this isn't the first time that Gallon has appeared as Gallon, but
right,
this is where we get him as a baby. But this obviously this Omnimax is the Galactus of this reality. And from the other character they introduce here is Taia, and that Taia is Galactus's mom, and she actually looks like she joins the group at the end of this issue because she gets thrown back into the sixth reality. So I guess what we're living in, or what Marvel 616 is, like the eighth reality. They got thrown back in this issue to the seventh reality, and now they're going back to the sixth reality for next issue. And this it's very interesting because you throw in these little known characters, really, or these what do you call them, D-list characters, right? So Cloud,
yeah,
Harpy, not necessarily so Silver Surfer and Doctor Strange are the characters from that give this the Defender name, right? Because you wouldn't really be able to call them the Defenders if Doctor Strange or Silver Surfer wasn't around. And then you have the Masked Raider, who really, since he I guess re-debuted in Marvel 1000 2 years ago, we really haven't seen him. he showed up in a couple of like cameo appearances in a couple of different comics, but we really don't know who this guy is or what he's doing. We know that he has a mask that is made out of eternity.
Yes.
Right? So that kind of gives him this cosmic type awareness. Um, but there's something else there, and we, like I said, we don't know who it is. We kind of get the feeling from his interactions with the Silver Surfer in this issue that he's someone that we're supposed to know, that he has history in the Marvel universe. And I'm going to throw this out there. I just from reading this issue, I was just like, okay, I think I know who this is. I think that this is the Silver Age Nick Fury, who was living in Attilan as the Watcher until the Watcher came back, and I can't remember what comic he came back because we read everything, so I can't remember which comic that they actually resurrected the Watcher. But Nick Fury walks away from that at the end. But I mean, he still has all his life experiences as he's lived on Attilan as the Watcher for the last several years, and now he's got this cosmic. What I feel like he's got this mask that is really kind of giving him the ability to make changes now, and he wasn't able to do that before. But for Silver Surfer, where he says, "I know who you are, Masked Raider," and then he says, "Then I can't allow anything to disrupt this mission or the course of time." So now he's an agent of the time stream or whoever. So maybe, who knows? Maybe he's working for King the Conqueror. Who the heck knows? But they are using King quite a bit, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him turn up. But anyway, yeah, this there's Al Ewing isms abound in this, where they bring up the fact that the Life Bringer, they mention him. And if you remember from Al Ewing's Ultimates run, Galactus, when they turned him into a force for good, he was called the Life Bringer, correct?
Yes, sir.
And they actually mention Lifebringer 1 as the legendary first hero in the time, and this is where Taia says, in the time before time, right? So now she's already referencing the previous reality where she says the Lifebringer wrestled the great dragon Anti-All, right? Now,
Jesus.
is that the one below all? Who is that? Who is that?
Well, I guess we'll find out, right?
No, because this is what I'm going to read. This is actually exactly what she says. In the time before time, he wrestled the great dragon Anti-All from the Underlands beneath infinity.
That's an Al Ewing.
Is that the one below all?
That's got to be. Well, I mean,
Right?
there's several characters or main gods that are below all and everything, but with Al Ewing, that's got to be the one below all. If it's an Al Ewing
Yep.
joint, it's got to be the one below all because that's all he's been messing around with for the last 2-3 years.
All right, and here's another concept they bring up, because I'm just like, I just thought that there was just so much that they threw in this issue. There was a secret weapon they used against the Devourer. They used against Omnimax, the Mother Cube, which now on the surface kind of looks like a cross between the Mother Box from DC and the Cosmic Cube. But when they say love, joy, pride, it's an empathy box. That's Psycho Man's machine from, if you remember, Psycho Man from Fantastic Four.
Huh.
And that was a weapon that he utilized in the microverse. So this is another huge idea that's little used, that now it seems like he's really kind of coming out and just throwing some concepts out there. I really loved the heck out of this issue, but the thing is there's so much going on. I can see where it's confusing. Plus, it's not real. Doctor Strange, Silver Surfer, I mean, yeah, take my money, but I don't know how popular they are to carry a book. Plus, they have Cloud and Harpy in here, which you're buying this book if you're an Al Ewing fan. That's and I really kind of think that.
Yep.
I know, and I just kind of think that they just throw this all together and they were like, Al, this is your book. We're not going to edit you. Just do it. just do what you want and just throw whatever you want here. There's a lot to unpack. I had to read this comic twice just so that I kind of got a lot of the different references, and just to see all the different way that they're kind of going with this, and it's opening up a playground for Al Ewing to go in and kind of explore. No one's explored the time before. And then no one's really had that concept of, we're in the eighth reality and that there were 7 other realities. And then they introduced this other new character, which makes me wonder. I don't even know if there's if this might be a new character, Moradun, and on the last page. Because he kind of looks like a sorcerer supreme almost from the previous realities. So it's there with the pentagram on his head with the eye at each end.
Right.
It's very interesting. So buy this book to kind of, if you just want some weird, just do it. It's awesome. I like this book.
I love everything about Al Ewing. So
Yeah.
and it's the fact that he's doing a whole bunch of callbacks to stuff that he's been writing over or
Yeah.
writing on for the last 3 years is great. The art by Javier Rodriguez, absolutely amazing. Of course, some of that silver surfer black stuff is making it in here.
Yep.
Just good stuff all around. I'm so glad that finally there was a book by Marvel that I really wanted to talk about. Finally.
I'm surprised it took us this long to get back to the Masked Raider. Honestly, because
Mhm.
when he appeared in Marvel Comics number 1000, and now Masked Raider is a take on the old Golden Age Masked Raider, he was getting these 8-page backup stories back in like Captain America and the Human Torch back in the 40s, and then he just kind of disappeared, and now he reappeared in 2 years ago and updated with the cosmic mask and everything, but then we just never saw him again. They introduced him and never went back to him, and then I think he showed up in like a 5-page backup of something, maybe like the Infinity Stone type crossover or something. He shows up, and now here he is, and he's front and center in the Defenders, and he's the mysterious character that's going to be driving the plot, and hey, if they're gonna put him more front and center, I'm all about having a new character to kind of fall in love with here in the Marvel. So let's do it.
Absolutely.
I love this character, and
Yeah.
I really hope I'm right. If it comes out that he's Nick Fury, you heard it here first.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it all makes sense, right? Let's
Yeah,
rewind some of this stuff. As the MCU is winding down on some of their stuff. Yeah, let's make the Marvel universe great again, right?
there you go.
The only thing I would have a problem with is some of the continuity, right? Because
Hmm.
again, some of these characters are in other books or were in other books. So Silver Surfer Black
Yep.
was the big thing, but I don't know whether his energy got dissipated or he's dead or what. I don't know what's going on with
It
him.
did in the end of what was it, Empire? He
Hmm.
showed up in. I think that the end of that crossover, they got rid of the black. Oh no, it was King in Black because he
Yeah.
showed up. It was King in Black, and he was fighting. You know, let's see that forgettable guy.
Doctor Strange is dead, right? So the Doc Strange that shows up is has a different uniform. It's not this guy,
Hmm.
right? Harpy, she's on her own little thing. I don't know what's going on with that, but she and Hulk are hanging out or dead or whatever.
I'm going to assume that this takes place after Al Ewing's Hulk run, which we're just waiting for the last issue at this point. So
Don't get me started on that thing with its 20 covers or so. I think that's actually maybe like 10 or 11.
yeah,
That thing. And then Harpy, I don't remember when the last time I saw, or excuse me, Cloudy, or whatever her name is.
Cloud
Cloud Girl.
Cloud hasn't shown up, I think, since the end of the New Defenders run back in the 1980s. I don't, and someone shout out if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've seen her since then. And I don't think anybody missed her, but I'm kind of interested in what she's doing here. So hey, it's there have been several iterations of the Defenders over the last 30 or 40 years, and this one is the one that's got me the most interested, and I'm glad Al Ewing took the reins. So we'll see. I'm intrigued. I am intrigued.
It was
So,
a good one. Well, what about let's go to Amazing Spider-Man number 73.
strap up for this one. Did you now? How many times did you have to read this to get it?
With me, you've got maybe 34 pages before you put me to sleep, before I actually started going. And that was their 3 to 4 pages started from the beginning of this freaking thing, right? Look, this whole situation of because the whole big thing was supposed to be who is the centipede guy, right? And
Yeah,
then
Kindred.
hey, why are Mary Jane and Mysterio getting along so well all of a sudden? And now, are they rebooting the one more day scenario?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Look, first of all, you cut short another part of the Amazing Spider-Man lore that I was looking forward to with their Mordred thing and the vampires and the spider totems. I was all about that. Then you cut that short for this, and I'm lost at it. I'm like, I really, it's hard for me to care. It's hard for me to care about this thing. So I read the dialogue, I see what's going on, and then that's it. That's all they get. That's all they're getting from me, guys. It's
So,
they played it, especially when they played out the Kindred thing for so long.
mm-hmm.
They played it out for so long, and now you want me to care about who it is? Like, oh, it's actually this Osborn kid. Like, okay,
Yeah, it was the red herrings that they kept throwing out. So at the time when now you have the ultimate reveal, it's almost anticlimactic, but the fact that they never really had gone back and referenced this storyline that they're now retconning, um, was kind of a surprise, right? I know that this was designed to kind of come out of left field because everybody was expecting, and we're probably still going to get the resolution with Mephisto and in the next issue, which is Nick Spencer's swan song on Spider-Man. So I'm still pretty confident that at the end of next issue, we're going to have some kind of resolution about the marriage between Peter and Mary Jane, that he's going to remember everything, and that Mephisto will kind of cease to be an issue here. This issue, now this was something I never thought they would retcon. In fact, I never thought that they would ever reference again. There's a lot of stuff that J. Michael Straczynski did on Amazing Spider-Man during his run back in the 90s or early 2000s. I can't remember how long ago it was. Where I was the early 2000s, where and a lot of it was like the Moreland storyline that you were just referring to, was Straczynski, and then he did this the Sins Past storyline. I believe that's what it was called, where he introduces Sarah and Gabriel, the two children of the love children of Gwen Stacy and Norman Osborn, which at the time broke reality. It broke the internet, so to speak, before the internet was the internet, right? And
mm,
this was one of those storylines that Straczynski made enemies over from the fans. They hated this storyline to the point that Straczynski ends up off the book, and that they never really reference them ever again after this. Sarah and Gabriel kind of go off into where forgotten characters go, and now here they are turning up at in this storyline, where now we realize that they were never really uh, Norman and Gwen's kids. That everything was an elaborate ruse by a combined combined efforts between the Chameleon, Mendelstrom, and Mysterio, all working for Harry
it's a
prior to.
conspiracy.
It's
It's all a conspiracy.
it is
Like,
confusing to the max. So they end up. So I mean, I would be the first person to tell you whatever. I don't care that they retcon this storyline. They retcon the fact that Sarah and Gabriel were actual people. That they were just basically clones. Everybody's a clone. That's the answer for everything.
Yeah.
And that now Kindred, who is probably is the remaining clone between Gabriel and Sarah, but also switches. She could switch back and forth and like chameleon, right? So she could change her face. So this is where everything is kind of coming to a head. I'm glad they retconned that storyline. I would have been so happy if they never even brought it up, because that is one of those stupid forgotten things that no one ever thinks about, no one ever talks about. It's one of those storylines. If you're a writer, something you don't like, you just ignore it, right? you
Yeah.
know just ignore that storyline it's been ignored for the last 20 years. Why bring it up? The one thing that everybody was expecting you to retcon, which was the brand new day storyline where Mary Jane's and Peter's marriage was forgotten about. We all kind of, well, I don't know if we all want to see that go away. I don't know if like at the end of the story that I actually want to have Peter and Mary Jane be married again. But I'm interested in seeing a resolution for that. But then to bring up this other old storyline that nobody liked, you know, it's kind of like leaving a bad taste in my mouth after everything. It's like I just don't want to remember this. I don't want to remember that story, you know. So this kind of been an anticlimactic ending to an overly confusing, too many characters being used kind of plot.
Exactly.
So I like Nick Spencer as a writer. I mean, for the most part, his Amazing Spider-Man run has been really convoluted, especially the last year and a half, where there's just been so many fringe characters being used and too many characters. This I'm kind of glad. I'm praying that we have some new blood coming on Spider-Man. I'm happy to have this end. So
Just amazing stuff. Like, it, what are they doing with Spider-Man, man? Why are they trying to kill him? Why are they trying to kill this character off so much, man? I don't understand, man. Um, like you've mentioned so much stuff that enrages me. So I was coming from it like, hey, you were doing good with this particular outline, and I even forgot about the tablet of life and death that they were
yeah,
going for, which the Kingpin currently has, and they cut that short to do this for no reason. And then you brought up all that other stuff that I hated about this freaking storyline. Oh my god.
it was almost like every supporting character that was ever on the canvas for Spider-Man just kind of found its way into the last I want to say 10 or 12 issues of Spider-Man, where our heads are spinning. There's so much happening that you can't keep everything straight. You have to reread every issue just to make sure you didn't miss anything. But there was a lot. There was a lot going on, and it got to the point that it was like, there's so much I don't care. If they
Yeah.
were to concentrate on the relationship between Norman and Peter, that would be one thing, you know. But instead, when you have the 60-year history of Peter and Norman with all their supporting characters all around them, and you have to kind of get to each relationship, it's very difficult. And now with this, they have to resolve this. Norman had sex with Gwen, but now he didn't. Now that Gwen is pure again, you know, even though she's been dead for 50 years, you know, they gave her back her purity. So
Well,
it is what it is. It was, I know that there are all the oldies like me who loved Gwen Stacy and hated the Straczynski storyline where it kind of ruined her character 30 years after the fact. And just to see this kind of go back. I can see where, I can see where Nick Spencer probably grew up hating that storyline too and always wanted to fix it. But I think that's the wrong approach to have as a writer of a comic book, to have to look at stuff other writers did and hate it so much that you want to fix it. You know,
You
that's the kind
fixed
of,
absolutely nothing with this.
well,
You
do you
fixed absolutely
do you
nothing with
fix
this.
do you fix one thing but create more problems, right? And
Yeah.
that's where I kind of feel like this book maybe missed the mark a little bit. Um, is
It didn't
is
fix anything. It didn't give any more complexity to Spider-Man's life. This
well,
is more about the villains.
so, but I
So,
mean, and you could look at it through the lens of when was the last time something like this was. I mean, and I don't want to compare this to the Clone Saga, but I guess I'll go there. So the Clone Saga from 30 years ago was based on the storyline that had happened 20 years before that, where um, there was just stuff nobody liked about Gwen and Miles Warren the Jackal and the clone Peter Parker, and that they created this storyline that actually had legs, but then wore out its welcome. This is how I kind of feel about the wearing out the welcome. I kind of feel like Nick Spencer wore out his welcome on Spider-Man, you know,
yeah,
and that's what makes me feel bad. But um, I want to say when he first came on the book, I thought he was probably the best writer suited to take over for Slott, and now I just want someone else to take over. I'm done. So,
yeah.
but thank you, Nick, for your time served. But you didn't
Ruined.
need to fix. You didn't. This needed to be, I guess, needed to be fixed to the demand of maybe half of the Spider-Man audience. I think the Spider-Man audience now is a little too young to even remember or care about the previous storylines from Brand New Day or from Straczynski's run 20 years ago or from Jerry Conway's run 50 years ago. It's
Mm,
there's just too much water under the bridge. Blaze your own path, baby.
sir. Well, here's a question. What did you think about this?
Oh yeah, I saw that, and yeah, I can't believe 3.6 million, and that's the highest any comic has ever gone. So
Yes,
now
sir.
it's higher than Detective, higher than Action, and now, yeah, hey, Spider-Man's the man.
Now,
3.6 mil.
yep. And the owner is now taking offers for 5.4. If you,
Jesus,
oh my God.
I don't know.
9.6. No, I was talking with Mel. Shout out to Mighty Mel V, and he was like, "There's no way that somebody has a 9.6 of this freaking thing. There's no way. You got to be a time traveler that went back in time with mylights and all types of crazy stuff, and then you had to put it in a special secret vault in order to keep this in pristine condition for it to be a 9.6. There's no way, but here it
It's
is.
Yeah, that is crazy, you know. But hey, more power to you, man. I mean, we all collect stuff that we love, and for there to be an Amazing Fantasy 15 that's mint, that's like so mint that the pages are white, that it looks like it just came off the press, that it's like perfect. Um, I mean, that's a labor of love right there, right? That is that deserves to be sold for that much. I'm surprised that there's a comic book collector out there that feels like they can just drop 3.6 million and then but then to want to turn, this is not a fan, by the way. This is not a fan to buy something at 3.6 and turn right around and drop it, try to sell it for 5.4. Uh
Right.
you don't love Spider-Man. You love money.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. So yeah, I mean it's weird, and I got to figure out who the owner is because right now there are these organizations where they buy these high-end comic books and then they share out pieces of it, right? So you could buy a piece for $50. Your boy down the street could buy a part for $50. Then as it goes up in price, you can sell it for however much it should cost. So I'm wondering if this was an organization or was this like Nick Cage just hiding out in the corner, doing his thing.
Oh no, Nick Cage. Nick Cage would have made 10 movies for 3.6 million.
Have you heard about this? Joe Bennett will no longer be working on Marvelous stuff or
Marvel's
Marvel stuff.
Timeless.
Yeah, so he just got done with the Hulk, Mortal Hulk stuff.
Yeah, but
That's going
so
to be coming out in a month.
Timeless is a storyline that just got announced last week, right? That's coming
Hmm.
out in like January.
Yes, sir.
So so what? They hired him to do it, and now he's not doing it.
Yes, because of some racist post that he's been having. So
Well, so wait. So
uh,
he posted something racist.
yes,
Oh, okay,
yeah. So he's done stuff before that people were raising their eyebrows at, but he explained it away. It does say, okay, gotcha. And then there was the stuff that he put in Immortal Hulk with the Jewish jewelry stuff. The people was like raising their eyebrows again, like what the fuck.
really?
Um, and I didn't think anything of it because there are jewelers in Philadelphia that look exactly like that, got the thing all over it. But there was a Twitter post that he put out, and it's damn racist. Like every caricature of the Jewish people that you could have, every bad caricature that you could have, it was in that freaking photo. And I don't know if he
Really?
drew it or what, but he posted it, and now he's out. That's just what it is, man.
Don't these people learn? Don't they learn? Stay off Twitter first of all. You know, God. Well, okay. Hey, man, Joe, I love your work on Hulk. Sorry, man. You can't be doing that stuff. If you have a job that you like and you want to keep it, don't be throwing shit out on Twitter for everybody to see.
My
It's
goodness,
going to
man.
end badly. I mean, where is your sense of judgment? I don't care what kind of belief system that you have or what you want to do, as long as it's private. If you have whatever you believe privately, as long as you keep it private. I don't, once you throw that out there, you're just opening yourself up for criticism and you know repercussions, let's say.
Sure. All right, let's close it out with some FOC stuff. Excalibur number 24, the Rian
Yeah.
Gonzalez. And there's a Joe Jesco masterpiece.
Yeah.
Miss Marvel Tales, number 1. And then there's also going to be a version of this one that's going to be a 1 to 50. And this one is going to be interesting, right? Because so here's why I'm making sure that this gets in here is because this is going to be the first week that the FOC is under Penguin Random House.
Okay.
So this is no longer a Marvel stuff going to be totally distributed by Diamond. This is going to be by Penguin Random House. The price of this book, the individual book, is $7.99. So times what $4 times 50, you get $200. So this book is going to cost retailers $200 just to qualify for.
Wow.
Avengers Tech On number 3, the Peach Momoko variant.
Ugh, I hate that story, by the way. Anyway.
Yeah. Captain Marvel number 33. There's a spoiler teaser variant by Gerard Burrell.
Oh, little Jenna Svell coming back.
There's also a Just Go Marvel Masterpiece variant.
Hey, did you ever get the Marvel Masterpiece cards when they were coming out like 30 years ago? That's where all
Uh-uh.
these those were all these Jusco paintings are coming from.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if they're new. I don't know if it's new work, but there was a Marvel Masterpiece trading card set that came out. I want to say about 30 years ago that had all these original paintings from Jusco, and I
Because
like to think,
he's got a lot coming out this that particular week. I forget when the release date for this, but he's got a lot.
oh,
Uh,
these variant Marvel Masterpiece variants. I wonder if it's new work. We have to find that out. I don't know if these are old trading card images or if it's just he's just done new stuff. It looks
yeah.
new, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't think I remember seeing some of those.
Symbiote Spider-Man Crossroads #4. One's the A cover,
Is
and
that is that Warlord Crow from the Eternals? It is
I don't
the
know,
the
but
pink guy.
I see it looks like Spider-Man's wearing the dude
Yeah,
from Eternals pants.
yeah,
It's weird.
Icarus. Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
And then there's also going to be a Peach Momoko variant that's a 1 to 25.
That's the first Peach Momoko piece I've actually seen that I kind of liked.
Yeah.
That's definitely Just Go.
Yep. That's another one.
That's all new stuff. So these are new paintings from Just Go, so that's good.
Eternals Celestial #1. There's going to be a Rob Liefeld Deadpool 30th anniversary joint.
Ugh, ugh,
What? No pockets?
dude, Deadpool. Where? Ugh, he looks horrible.
Uh-oh. Star Wars High Republic Trail Shadows #1. It's going to have quite a few covers. Let's see. There's the Anadito, and then the 1 to 25 is going to be the Juan Tedesco.
Nice.
Star Wars Bounty Hunters, the one that I have here right now, people are already goo goo gaga over. Let's keep
I
an
do
eye
like
out for
that.
that one.
Yeah, that's a good cover.
And then there's 1 to 25,
Oh,
and then there's this one.
I like both of them. Oh, I love that cover. That's the McNiven Carbonite variant.
Yes, sir.
It's beautiful.
Dark Ages #2. There's quite a few covers for this one, but the ones I pulled out was this 1 to 50 Stigman, and then there's a Hetrick, which I happen late. That one's an open order, and then the 1 to 25 Hitch.
Hmm.
Let's see. Actually, that is not Marvel. Here we go. Mortal Hulk #50 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
No,
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 covers for the last issue.
Jesus.
Well, uh, stay away. Stay away. The only one if you're going to pick one up, pick up the Garson one. That's the one that I have on there right now. It's got about 300 different versions of the Hulk on there. And I know it's going to do well because Conan just had one as well by Garson, exactly like this one where it has like 300 versions of Conan, and it's sold out and it's doing pretty well.
Nice.
And then there's also the Joe Benet joint, which is pretty good. And then there's an Enhyuk Lee. Oh, there's a Stegman as well, and then there's an Enhyuk Lee. So
Nice.
it's the two Hulks fighting together. And then, so my pick that you definitely guys got going to definitely want to look out for is the Hellions #16 Joe Jesco masterpiece with Psylocke.
Yep. That's a nice painting.
Yep, and that's all I got, man.
I wonder if they're coming out with another Just Go masterpiece set. I wonder if that's what it is.
It would make sense for them to do it, right? Give them another year. They'll say, "Oh yeah, well, cards are so hot, so let's do it."
Yeah. Yeah. I that was back when I was collecting all kinds of stuff. So I think I have a set of Marvel Masterworks somewhere. So
Yeah, I
if
mean,
if I didn't get rid of them.
look, Tops has no excuse to not to because they lost all their sports stuff, so
Oh jeez.
they
Right.
might as well. They're gonna have to get the revenue from somewhere.
I don't know why they would. Oh, why do you let that license go, man? Ugh.
Well, it was out of their hands, right? It was one of those 12th hour deals. And I don't know if I talked about it on here, but so Tops and Panini, they have several products
Yeah.
where there's like autographs and clothes and bats that are inside the cards. Well, a lot of that stuff was fake. It was just flat out fake. The autographs were fake. A lot of the
Really?
shirts, yeah,
So
and
fraudulent.
yeah, and then they try to come up with excuses of what happened, like, oh, this was a mistake, this is supposed to be like that. I say, okay, what are you doing to make sure that it doesn't happen again? And they made an announcement, okay, this is what we're going to do, and then all of a sudden they didn't do it. So MLB, NFL, NBA, and I forget who else is out there. Not the NHL, because NHL is like upper deck. They took their toys out of sandbox and say, okay, we're going somewhere else. Right? All right, where are you going to go? Well, they just went to Fanatics.
Wow.
Um, so let's uh, let's. I hope they do well. But it was just interesting, and especially because even more because Tops and Panini, they were in deals to go public, like go on Wall Street.
Wow.
In fact, Alex Rodriguez was involved in one of those deals, and they just said, you know what, I'm taking, no, no. And what's even more interesting is I've talked about Jay Z before. I don't know if I talked about Jay Z on the show. Jay Z has been buying up a whole lot of stuff,
Hmm.
and one of the companies that he's been funding was Fanatics. So
There you go.
he's just perfect place, perfect place, the perfect time, man. Just weird, man.
Wow. All right. So that's going to do it for this episode of No Prize Podcast. So
Whoop
be
whoop.
here in 2 weeks. We'll be in the shank of September, just about October, and we'll be looking forward, I think, to Hawkeye. I think that's
Okay.
coming out, and I think we'll be looking towards the Eternals. So maybe we'll do like an Eternals recap for the people that don't know Eternals. Maybe we'll do
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
All
Awesome.
right. So be here in a couple weeks, and until then, stay safe and happy back to school.
Happy back